Ideally for a motorized camera dolly, you'd want to use a variable speed motor, but I just didn't want to spend a bunch of money on this project, so I decided to rob the little oscillating motor out of this fan that's been laying around the house for a while. Once I stripped all the main components of the fan off, I was able to access the little oscillating motor, which turns out to turn about 3 RPM, so it should be perfect for this project. To couple a drive wheel to the little motor, all I did was drill a hole through a T-nut, and then I was able to thread in a number 8 bolt to hold that into place, and then a 5/16 bolt will act as the drive wheel axle. Next, I just took some 3/4 inch plywood and ripped 3 lengths of it, 2 of which will be used for the axles and 1 for the main body. The axles are going to be about 10 inches long, and the main body will be about 12 inches. I think the rear axle I'm going to make 2 inches wide, but the front axle, which will be the drive axle, has to be about 4 inches wide at one end to house the motor. So I just ran some tapers down it to make it look a little bit better. And I chamfered the corners on the main body. Then it was just a matter of marking the pivot holes for where the axles will pivot. I'm just going to use a lag bolt for these areas with a wing nut. The wheels themselves I got from a set of rollerblades, and the rollerblades is the only money I spent on this project. I bought them used on the classifieds for $15, and I'm just going to use 4 lag bolts to screw them into place. I can now go ahead and bolt my 2 axles to the main body and tighten it down with a wing nut. The next thing I need to do is build a motor mount, and all I did was take 2 pieces of 3/4 inch plywood sandwiched together and drill a 2-inch hole through it. This would allow my motor to be recessed in. Then it was just a matter of marking where the screw holes were going to be and cutting a relief cut so I can easily feed the wire through. I then pre-drilled holes for the little screws that will hold the motor to the mount. I then just used an 1.5-inch door hinge to mount the motor mount itself to the buggy axle. So by threading in a 5/16 bolt and just wrapping a little bit of electrical tape around it, that's going to give me the smallest drive wheel possible, which will in turn give me my slowest speed possible. Now I can increase the speed by increasing the size of the drive axle. So if I cut out some round circles by just using a hole saw and increasing the size, I can increase the speed of the dolly. Here I just put it on an incline just to see how it would do without slipping, and it seems to be climbing this without any issues. Next, for the camera mount, all I did was drill a hole in the center of the main body of the dolly, and then underneath that hole I'm going to put a T-nut. And what I'm using is I just took the legs off of my tripod, and it's got a 1/4 inch bolt at the bottom that I can screw right into the T-nut. This makes it quite high, so I don't know if I'm going to continue with this setup or make something a little bit shorter, but for the meantime I think it'll work out alright.